Perception is an interesting thing. It isn't logical, it spreads like wildfire, and it can define you wrongly in an instant. Take for example a large 7-seat SUV. It's perceived as desirable. A compact car is perceived as inexpensive, and a 3-cylinder engine is perceived as engines that go in economical cars. With me is the Nissan X-Trail. It's big, it's macho, it's got 7 seats, has solid road presence, but in here is a 3-cylinder petrol engine. Will perception kill the Nissan X-Trail, or is there more than meets the eye? There's only one way to find out. Let's start with the styling on the X-Trail. I think it looks really smart. Love the power bulge on the bonnet, these LED strips on top, large front grille with the Nissan logo in the center. Too much of plastic on the bumpers. It's an urban SUV, so I think they could have gone down on the plasticky bits. But move towards the side, and it's got a really nice side stands. These massive 20-inch wheels look really cool. High set sills are a good thing for an SUV in this class. I like the chrome strip up here. And move towards the rear. There's too much of plastics happening over here. Feels a little down market. Besides the good stance and the smart looks of the X-Trail, maybe this could have looked a little more premium. Now let's hop into the interior of the X-Trail and show you what features the X-Trail has and how comfortable it feels. As nice as the exterior of the X-Trail is, I've got to tell you, I'm a little disappointed as I step into the interiors of the X-Trail. It feels very plasticky, the seats are fabric, and you don't even get wireless Apple CarPlay in this car. I'm going to take this off because it looks quite ugly for this shot. But yes, there is a lot of skimping on equipment, and this is a premium SUV going up against the likes of the Kodiaq, the Tiguan, the Tucson. They feel nice and premium. These front seats are fabric, so that's a big downer. You don't even get electrically adjustable seats. You don't get ventilated seats. You do get a big panoramic sunroof. But while you're sitting in the front seats, there's a lot of plasticky stuff out here. Like these buttons on the steering wheel, they don't feel premium. These plastics, low plastics, they are very hard. You can see this, very plasticky, right? But the steering wheel is nice to hold. You get a 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster. You get a large infotainment screen for the segment. A lot of buttons, which is nice to see. You get a Type-C port, a regular USB port, a start-stop button over here, automatic dual-zone climate control. You get wireless charging, 2 large cup holders. I like this e-shifter of the X-Trail, very nice. You get the drive mode settings over here. So everything that you need to use, it's got buttons, it's not too much of touchscreen, which is a very nice thing in this day and age. And you get this very lovely cubby hole which opens with a center opening, very nice. And one lovely thing I like is this massive storage space in the center. One thing that the X-Trail doesn't get is ADAS and adaptive cruise control. You get regular cruise control, but ADAS in the segment now is something that should be coming in all the future SUVs that come into India because of all the expressways that are opening up, like the Mumbai-Delhi expressway that we were driving on. Now let's hop into the middle seat and show you the space in the middle seat, and then I'll show you the third row. Nice flat middle row. Even the transmission tunnel is nice and low, so it's good for the third passenger. If you don't have a third passenger here, you can put this down and have a nice center armrest. You get 2 cup holders, some place to store your coins or whatever, or maybe your phone. You get a Type-C port, a regular USB port, large bottle holders. But the problem is, again, fabric seats, they don't feel very premium. You get a nice commanding view of the road ahead. These seats, they slide front and back. So if you have passengers in the third row, you can come up a little further and have enough leg room to not touch the front seats. I'm 5 feet 10 and a half. The seat is adjusted to my driving position, and I've got plenty of knee room with the seats sliding up. Now the backrest adjusts from the lever over here, which is very difficult to use. Should have been somewhere on the side, but then that's a small inconvenience. Let's hop into the rear seat and show you the space in the third row, and we'll also show you the boot space. Now before I show you the third row of the X-Trail, let me show you this cavernous boot. It's got 585 liters of boot space, and if you fold the middle row flat, over 1400 liters of storage space. The good thing is that it gets a cover, so if you're not using the third row, it can be used to save your air conditioning. And it's an easy tug of a string here to pull the rear seats up, and then you get a 7-seat configuration in the X-Trail. Now I'm going to show you, no electric tailgate in this segment. That's quite sad. Anyway, let's show you the space in the third row. Alright, so how do we get into the third row? There's a lever here. You pull that and the backrest falls flat. You can't tumble the seat, which is quite strange. Let me slide this up ahead. Now getting in is going to be a challenge because I'm too big for this. Oh man. Okay, I'm back in the third row. Well, not enough space to be honest. The headrest touches the middle of my back, so I have to pull it up. There isn't enough room, and now I don't know how to get that seat back up. How do I get it back? Okay, so you need help for that. You're going to have help for that because it's a 7-seater and someone's going to be in the car if you're sitting in the third row. But yes, this is for kids, not enough space for adults. The X-Trail is a big SUV, but how big is it? Well, wheelbase at 2705 mm is not the longest. The Kodiaq and the Tucson have longer wheelbases. It's why it feels like the third row is extra cramped. What I like is the roominess in the cabin. The X-Trail is a tall SUV, a good 60 mm taller than its competitors. The design and interiors then are a mixed bag. Let's find out how it is to drive now. Let's address the baby elephant in the room. Under that bonnet is a 1.5 litre turbo-petrol engine in a segment that needs a 2 litre turbo-petrol engine. Well, I don't know about needs, but that's the norm in this segment. And it's got a 3-cylinder engine there, not a 4-cylinder. So you're down a cylinder in a country where perception is king. So will it work? We'll have to see how Nissan convinces people in the country to buy the X-Trail. Power and torque is also down. 26 horsepower less than the Kodiaq and the Tiguan, and 20 Nm less. So performance front, the Tucson petrol, that's the least performing engine in this segment, but it's down on price too considerably compared to probably what the X-Trail is going to be priced at, because this is going to be a CBU. And the XUV 700, that's in another league altogether. It sits half a segment lower than the X-Trail. Well, Nissan definitely steps ahead on the wrong foot. How does this engine perform though? So the engine is small and the performance figures are not that great. Even in terms of acceleration, 9.6 seconds 0 to 100 claim time, not the best. You get 3 driving modes. You get an eco mode, you get a standard mode, and you get a sport mode. One good thing is that the engine sounds sporty, but it pulls quite decently. It doesn't feel that it needs more performance as such. Sure, when you're jumping from say a Kodiaq or a Tiguan into this, you're going to feel that you're down on power, but otherwise regular driving situations, I think it's quite good. Honestly, it's a very refined engine. For a 3-cylinder, you don't hear that sound, that irritating sound of a 3-cylinder engine. It's very refined, and the gearbox to the CVT doesn't have that rubber band effect, so it's a very smooth highway cruiser. There's a simulation of gears in the car, so you can go up to 8 steps in the CVT gearbox. The simulated steps, of course. This is a CVT gearbox, so you're not going to be getting any gears as such, but you run through the paddles. You've got paddle shifters behind the steering wheel. You run through the paddles, and what I'm doing 90, and I can go down to say a simulation of a third gear, and pulls well. Only thing is that you do that and fuel efficiency is going to take a hit. So let's go to the higher compression setting in a standard driving mode and see how well it performs on the efficiency front. We've also got the opportunity to test the fuel efficiency of the X-Trail. This X-Trail gets the variable compression turbo technology. That's something Nissan has patented. What it does is basically it offers better efficiency when you're not full-time on the throttle and better performance when you're gassing it. I'm driving at 120 kilometers per hour for over 56 kilometers, and it's offering 13.2 kmpl. That's quite impressive actually for a vehicle of this size. Very, very good efficiency. Of course, this is the expressway, there's no traffic and I don't have to slow down for anything, so that consistency is also important. That gives it good efficiency as well. In the real world, when we are on city roads, I'm sure the number is going to drop, but this is quite good actually for a 3-cylinder turbo petrol in such a large SUV. While we're driving on this expressway, to get to this expressway we had to drive through the city of Gurgaon, and in Gurgaon the roads are smooth but lightly undulating. You don't feel a thing in the X-Trail. It rides with the composure of a premium SUV. The ride is very pliant, very composed, and it feels like a proper tough premium SUV. From the driver's seat you get a very good view of the road ahead. You can place it well. It's a squared out SUV, so you can place the car very well, and you sit high up here so you can get a commanding view of the road ahead. Actually, I like the cruising ability of the X-Trail. There's not much in terms of performance or handling as such because it rolls a bit, but otherwise it's a nice highway cruiser. The X-Trail has run over 4 generations now. This is the 4th generation of the X-Trail. It started with a very off-road rugged focus, and over time it's transformed into a SUV that is more of a soft roader. This car is only a front wheel drive. You don't get 4-wheel drive in the X-Trail. I mean, this segment you need 4-wheel drive. You don't need 4-wheel, you need all-wheel drive. Nissan hasn't studied the segment that well in my opinion, because everything this segment demands the X-Trail doesn't offer. All-wheel drive, a 4-cylinder engine, higher performance, quality interiors, leather seats, ventilated seats, wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. All these features are missing in the X-Trail, and it's going to be coming as a CBU, not a CKD, so it's going to be pricey. But what Nissan's looking for is setting an image for the brand here with a SUV that looks macho, looks good and has good road presence. One thing the X-Trail does have is good road presence. We'll have to see if customers who are buying into the X-Trail are okay with it not having so many features, not offering the levels of kit that this segment gets. We'll see how that goes. It's a CBU, so it's going to be low numbers, and Nissan can pivot based on the customers that are buying into the segment and demanding for the features or the performance that the X-Trail should get. Nissan globally does have better performance offerings in the X-Trail. We'll have to see if any of them come into India, and most likely they should, because honestly this engine, this level of kit doesn't cut it for me. Now I'm back to asking the same question I asked myself at the beginning of this video. Can Nissan change the perception of what a premium SUV should offer in this segment? Well, only time will tell, but initial impressions say they won't. Smart styling and refinement aside, the X-Trail doesn't offer much that the rest of the SUVs in this segment offer. It's down on performance, it's down on equipment, and on the luxury front, the interiors definitely let you down. The good thing, if I had to find a silver lining, is that because this is a CBU, Nissan can opt for a more premium variant with a larger engine in the X-Trail should customers demand that. Would you want a larger engine and a better equipped X-Trail, or is this spec good for you? Do leave us a comment and see you next time.